And we are live here on YouTube. Welcome to the TFL live show every Saturday night. This is Ask for Help, but tonight we're doing something a little bit different. With us in the house, Brian's back.
Hello,
Yay!
everybody. Yay, back from the abyss.
And with us tonight, we have a very special guest, Tim Aucoin from KPP Printing here in Calgary. We're going to be talking to Tim tonight a little bit about his experience with 3D printing. Maybe he's got some tips and tricks that he's tried that might help you guys out in the audience tonight. I want to say hi to some people here in the chat room tonight. Let's start right back up at the top. We have Snapshot FPV. We've got Canadian Prairie Shortwave, Gary T. We got Ben Brady, Sergeant Pepsi. Who else we got here? We got Joseph Jolly. We have Park 88 and our good friend Jerry Knapp, 3D Printing and Painting, out there in Lost Wages. And hey, there's Robert Reynolds. And Mark Fuentes. We've got a lot of people. So normally, as you guys know, there's Pure Life, RC01. Hello from Ontario. Yeah, let us know where you're from tonight for those of you that are coming in not from Canada, or even if you're in Canada, let us know where you are. I apologize for my lighting tonight. There's Saul. So we are talking with Tim tonight a little bit about how he got started in 3D printing, a little bit about how he turned 3D printing into part of his business, KKP Printing. And if you guys got questions for Tim, don't be afraid to put them in the chat room tonight. Hey, we got Indiana, Randall Higgs, Parker Cooper from Missouri, Pat Burke from Medicine Hat, Southern California. I see we got one there. That's Robert Marvin. Sausage is in the house. My wife's favorite guy, Sausage. Tonight we are having libation, unless I'm the only one. But Brian sent me home today with some Hubtown Brewing Company. So we're going to give a big shout out to the Hubtown Brewing Company. There you go, right there. This is 946 milliliters. So if I'm a little inebriated by the end of the show, Brian will take over.
That's a big can.
Yeah, well, I just ordered, I think, 464 ounce growlers of their butterbeer. So,
hey, we've got
ready
Saul he's in Spain.
Wow,
We're reaching all over the world tonight. Parker Cooper says he's a first timer. Well, we'll have to bust his hot end tonight then.
Somebody out there says I look like Don Rickles.
That's a good thing.
I've had Tim Conway before, but never Don Rickles.
Never Don Rickles.
That's okay. Wow. I got Jack Black, so
I don't get anybody. But that old homeless guy.
With the big can of beer.
With a big can of beer in a paper bag. Yeah, there we go. So let's kick things off tonight. Tim, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I won't divulge my age, but I'm up there near where you are, Richard. I own a business in downtown Calgary with a partner of mine, Bruce. It's KKP. We're a digital printing sign company, and we just recently added 3D printing services to our forte. And I've been in this business for, most of my life. So we're going to say like 35 plus years. So, and as far as the 3D printing aspect of it goes, I'm in my first year of 3D printing. I just got involved in this back in August of last year.
So you are really new to this.
Yes, new, but I tend to dive in head first to things when I have a passion for them, and this is one of them.
You know, I can't say I'm any different because when I got into 3D printing, I did the same thing. Eyes closed, just dived into the pool, whether there was water there or not. And I quickly found out that the water that was in the pool was very shallow. So I had to learn a lot of stuff very quickly. And like a lot of people out there, I went searching on the internet to find the answers to my questions. And unfortunately, there were no answers to my questions. So I did a lot more research, and then here we are today, and we've got TFL's Ask for Help, and we've got our regular show. So, and great. We're doing quite well. Thank you, everybody. We are almost at, I believe, 16,400 subscribers when I last checked.
Wow.
And yeah, we are really moving along. Thank you, everybody that has subscribed. If you are new to us tonight and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure that you go ahead and subscribe. Also, click the little bell so you get notified when we do shows like this. Tonight, we're using StreamYard to bring everybody in. Normally, we use vMix and then we pump that out to YouTube. But StreamYard, I got all confused on how to use StreamYard because I've only used it one time before. And now we are sitting, of course, the way that we are. So apparently, StreamYard just pushes directly to YouTube without you having to go into the back end of YouTube to do anything. And I can see all of the chat. Everybody can see the chat tonight. My wife is monitoring the chat in case we miss anything. 3D Printing and Painting is saying I get commercials in 80 more watch hours. So if you are not subscribed yet to 3D Printing and Painting, make sure that you go ahead and do that. Go ahead, Jerry, put your link to your YouTube channel in the chat, and we will let everybody have a look at that. And if you guys haven't seen Jerry's channel, go ahead and check it out. So, Tim, let's talk a little bit about, first and foremost, what got you into 3D printing? What was the catalyst that said, okay, maybe I should look at 3D printing?
Well, to be honest, it's the price point to which the 3D printers became available. When I first started looking into 3D printing several years ago, they were thousands of dollars and they were way out of my reach. So I decided at one point I was looking for another revenue stream to possibly add to our business here at KKP. And so I did a little bit of research on 3D printers. I went onto YouTube. I found a whole bunch of really cool channels such as yours. Did a little bit of listening, learning, and research. And when I saw the price of 3D printers, I realized that, hey, I can get a 3D printer for under $500. I thought, why not? So right away, I ordered 2 3D printers. I got them, and then, the first few days I said, what have I gotten myself into? Because for me, it was a little bit of a steep learning curve. Possibly because of what I had bought and some of the things that were going wrong with it. But I persisted and just went on from there. And now I have around 7 or 8 3D printers, and they don't scare me at all. And yeah, so initially getting into it, it was based on the fact that the price came down to an affordable area that I could get into it without having to put out a lot of money in case I didn't like it.
And now you've got so many 3D printers, as we've talked about, and I got to make sure everybody's back on the screen here. There we go. Now, I was in that same boat because I had one 3D printer that didn't work very well when I got it. I had to sink a bunch of money into it, and I thought, oh my God, what have I got myself into? And my initial catalyst for getting into it was to do props.
Right.
And because I was getting tired of doing props the old-fashioned way, I thought, 3D printing was the way to go. And of course, I haven't done any props since I got into 3D printing. I've done one for a commercial enterprise that you guys will be seeing later this year. You will see something that I printed in an upcoming movie. I can't tell you what that movie is, but I can tell you it was filmed here in Alberta. So I'm kind of proud of that. I didn't design it. I was just asked to print it by a good friend of mine. And so I have a copy of it here in my collection at home. I can't show it on camera yet because I'm still under NDA. That being said, I went, what did I have at one time? 11 or 12 printers. And then I had to pare them down because I had too many printers because, I all kinds of them. One time, I think I had 3 Ender 3s and 2 CR10s and a host of other printers. And, I got involved in some of the local 3D printing clubs and learned a lot from those guys as well. And then I just decided to, move forward with it. Brian, what about you? Let's talk a little bit about our backstories.
Yeah, yours and mine are kind of the same. I just walked in one day and bought a CR10S, and then got an Ender 3, and an Ender 3, and an Ender 3, Ender 5, CR10S5, Elegoo Mars. Yeah, I bought a lot of printers.
I think we've all been there. Now, of course, with everything that we're doing here, things are changing dramatically. We've got another review coming up next week. We have a very special episode for you guys coming up on Monday, just so you know. I'll just kind of put it out there right now. And for those of you that have been looking for these funky shirts, I don't know how well you guys can see this, but I am wearing one of the First Layer iPrint shirts. Mine says iPrint PETG. Brian is wearing his iPrint PLA. There you go. So we're going to let you guys know that we are going to launch a website around this very, very soon called shopthefirstlayer.com. Let's vote which presenter has the best beard. Sausage. Yeah, we can do that.
I have no chance.
I'm winterizing.
But it's summer, Brian.
Oh, right.
There you go.
Brian's the only one that still has color in it.
Yeah, Brian's is the only one that still has color in it.
Not for long.
I thought about dyeing mine purple, but you know.
Hey.
Where
Jerry
why
says
that stop?
But let's get this conversation back to 3D printing. What are the materials you primarily print in? What have you found to be the best print material for you, Tim?
PLA for the most part. My first printer, which actually coincidentally is DOA on the floor behind me, was a CR20 Pro. I print PLA on most of them until I got into the Prusas. I picked up a couple Prusas, the MK3 and the Mini, and I find I'm really loving printing PETG on those printers now. So because it does such a great job at it, and I've struggled a little bit on my Creality printers with PETG, but I don't tend to struggle with them on the Prusa printers. So I'm sure the other printers are more than capable of running that, but I just haven't had the experience or the patience, I suppose, to tune it in properly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what was the hardest thing for you to learn in 3D printing?
To troubleshoot. I think, and what it all boiled down to was, coincidentally enough, the name of this channel, The First Layer, was getting a good first layer, because I found that if something down there messed up, then it just sort of escalated as the model was built. So yeah, troubleshooting was the biggest learning curve for me, until I got into deciding I wanted to do some upgrades myself. And now the biggest learning curve for me is the firmware. So yeah.
Well, we've got good news for you. We're going to be covering firmware in upcoming episodes very soon.
Awesome.
So Brian, you've got some questions for Tim.
Yeah, Tim. Now, I guess Richard knows a bit more about your business, but maybe you can tell everybody exactly what your business provides to Calgary and beyond.
Basically, we provide everything from basic business cards to larger signs and banners. We don't go up as big as billboards, but we do some rather large signage, decals, stickers, all sorts of things. Now, what we're hoping to offer, it was just bad timing with this pandemic that happened, because this year was supposed to be the year where we heavily marketed 3D printing. And that's sort of been put on hiatus because of what happened. But in a way, because of what's happened, it's actually given me the ability to market 3D printing in a way. You guys are probably familiar with these little guys here. These are ear savers that they wear on the back of the masks in the frontline workers. This one is, I believe, last week's guest you had, Luke Hadfield. This was his design. So I've been printing these things like a madman. We've done about, probably 2,500 to 3,000 of them so far, and we're donating them. And each ones we donate, we package them in 10s, and each one goes out with a package that says compliments of our company. So I'm using 3D printing right now as a method of marketing the business, by giving these things away to people, and they're extremely popular. I'm printing every day, and it's hard to keep up with the demand for them. So that's what I'm hoping is going to happen as we move forward. And as you guys both know, there's a lot of news about 3D printing and what people are doing around the world to help frontline workers with their 3D printers. So I'm hoping and I'm positive this is going to bring 3D printing to the forefront when everything gets back to the new normal, and there's going to be a lot more interest in it. So I'm hoping that's going to be a good a good thing to attract some more people to our company.
Yeah, that's great. And the efforts that you're showing, I found it's been very up and down, at least where I'm at, where one week nobody is asking for product, and the next week you're overwhelmed with it. So it's good for you
Yes.
to get ahead of it.
Yeah.
And I think it's completely admirable, even packaging with your company name there, because you're providing it for free.
Mm.
It helps to spread the name, but it's not trying to expect business back. It's just saying, hey, we're doing this for you guys
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Yeah. I mean,
So,
yes, it is a little bit of it is marketing, I'll be honest, but we're not expecting anything in return, as you say, just to get the name out there and hopefully on the forefront of people's minds when life gets back to normal and businesses start to return.
absolutely. So you've been around the industry for a fair chunk of time there. I've seen
Yeah.
changes in my industry, and I'm sure Richard is seeing the same. How do you feel 3D printing has changed the marketing and just general business that you provide?
Um, I think for us, for the way that we are implementing it in our business, we've been in our location here for almost 30 years. I just see this as something. It's fresh. It's new. Right now, for me, it's more of a marketing tool than it is a product that we're going to sell. But I hope that changes. And I think moving forward, as people have learned over these last couple of months, and they're going to learn over the next few months what the 3D capabilities are of what these printers can do and the type of products they can produce. It's going to bring ideas to our customers' minds that they can say, hey, maybe this can be 3D printed. Let's go talk to Tim, see what he can do. Yeah.
Now we've got I guess a comment here from Parker Cooper. He says, I worry about copyright issues. Now, as far as 3D printing goes, copyright issues, while they still apply, and I'm no lawyer, so I'm just going to give you my own TLDR on it. I believe that if you are making stuff for sale that goes against an IP, let's say you're doing Marvel things, Marvel statues, that kind of stuff, and you're selling them as a full-blown printed, painted, kit or whatever you're doing, that is where you can be stepping on copyright issues. I think that the artists that are creating STLs and selling their STLs, I think that that's kind of falling into that little bit of a gray area where it's artist interpretation of a popular IP. Yes, they're making a profit off of it, but you got to understand they also put in the work to get that STL made. There's another comment here that from Sergeant Pepsi says most printers are sold out, and so is the popular filament. I agree with that right now. The pandemic has caused a lot of problems. It's a good thing I've got a little bit of stock here at home. Brian, you've got a little bit of stock. Tim, you've got some as well. And, when you can find it, part of the reason that we're so low on PLA around the world right now, especially PLA, is because PLA is now being used for a great many other things. For those of you that don't know, and we've talked about this before on the show, that PLA is now being used for straws. It's now being used for those little plastic things that hold your 6-pack of beer together. It's being used in all kinds of products because of its biodegradable properties or its environmentally friendly properties. So that's where we're finding a shortage. Now, the pandemic also has caused a problem because shipping from China, where most of these products come from, is caused an issue because it's being held up in quarantine. It's being held up at customs for longer periods of time just to make sure that, the incubation period of anything that might be on cardboard or on plastic or, because they wrap pallets in plastic wrap. And I think it can hold on to plastic longer than cardboard, or maybe it's the other way around. I can't remember which way it is, but I think maybe it's cardboard holds onto it longer than plastic does. But they are holding on to these, and they're just waiting for that incubation period to kind of falter so that you don't get sick when you receive the product. So all I can say to the people that are watching the show right now is that be patient. I know people want to print stuff, and I applaud all of you that are helping our frontline people, helping the people at your grocery stores, helping the people at your local Walmarts and things like that to make their job a lot easier and a little bit more comfortable. I know I made a whole bunch of those ear savers, and I took them over to my local Walmart where we've been shopping for better than 10 years now. And, you know, everybody was grateful to get them. So it, you know, it is one of those things that, you know, we're in a different kind of state here. So, you know, we all got to kind of take our lumps, I guess, as they come. And, you know, it will get better. Things are going to get better as time goes on. And we already see some of the restrictions are going to be lifted very soon. So I think we're going to see our products starting to come out a little bit faster. Trevor Rickard has a question here. He says, hey, I got a quick question. I got a flow rate of 73, but when I print out a Banshee in Cura, some of the walls come out thin and brittle. But if I try to print it in Simplify 3D, it comes out perfectly. I would say that's a settings issue in Cura. Trevor, Brian, what would you say?
Yeah, definitely. If you're noticing a different slicer to slicer, it's either something's getting overridden in Cura when it does the slicing, or it's not being set up for the correct nozzle size. I would suggest look at the G-code output in the preview window of Cura and look and see if your lines look okay in there. It's quite simple. If it's working in one software and not another, it's not your printer.
Yeah, it's not the printer. It's definitely got to be the settings. And I don't think it's the particular program you're using, because I've been using Cura now for, well, permanently for at least the last 6 months. And I got to tell you, Cura, I own Simplify 3D and I haven't even opened it to look at a model in probably 6 months, just because I'm so taken by what a free piece of software is available to do right now. They're talking a little bit about the price of PLA now. Ben Brady says in many places here in the US, the price of PLA has increased nearly $10 a kilogram. And then same in Canada, the Louis Eric says cheap PLA used to be 21, now it's 33. And yeah, there is a lot of companies that are upping the price because of the under availability or the lack of availability of PLA. Raymond says it's gone up here as well.
More. So I think it's going to get higher before it gets lower. And the reason for that is because PLA, one of its subcompositions is based off corn. And with the U.S. Lagging right now with COVID catching up to that, we are going to see a backlog of those, what would you call them, biodegradable plastics that sometimes get shipped over to China and then back to the Americas. So I wouldn't bank on cheaper PLA anytime soon. I would say just think a little bit longer before you print something and you know, make that PLA last, or now maybe is the time to experiment with your PETs and your ABSs and so forth.
Yeah, Dan Barrio says printed solid here in the U.S. is still only $19 to $20 a roll, and they do free shipping over $45. Now, that's great, but it doesn't help us in Canada because it takes almost forever for us to get it here in Canada. So
we just got a shipment of Xyltech up here. It started out at $15 a kilo US, and by the time we brought it across the border, you know what? They didn't even charge us an import fee, which they should have, and it still came out to be $30 Canadian a kilo. So we didn't really save anything. It was just kind of an experiment.
One thing.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say I took advantage of an offer that Prusa is doing right now on their PETG, their orange. They've got a special deal they're doing for PETG for PPE at $22.50 US a kilogram, which is pretty good for PETG. Works out to about $30 Canadian. The only difference is it's not spooled as pretty as their regular stuff is because they're producing it very fast. So I took advantage of that and ordered a few rolls of that stuff. So that, which I thought was a good deal for PETG.
Absolutely. And especially Prusa's stuff. I believe that has all those filament measurements across the reel and everything. Normally their PLA I think goes for 45 to 50 a kilo to be brought into Canada. So
Yeah,
that's
this
not
is a
too
great
bad.
deal.
And obviously you are using it for the appropriate purpose and giving it to the healthcare workers. So that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Now, the other thing is, I mean, Spool 3D is not the only supplier of filament in Canada. We know that there's many others. One that we deal with here is filaments.ca. Yes, they're out of a lot of filament right now, but again, that's a supply and demand thing because most of the filaments that come into there are either coming out of the States or coming out of China. The beautiful thing about places like filaments.ca is they carry other brands that are exclusive to them here in Canada, like Protopasta and Kodak and a couple of others. And to be perfectly honest with you, if you can't find their house brand, check some of their other brands. They do have some of it still in stock. Now, somebody's asking there, is there a reasonable alternative for isopropyl alcohol for cleaning glass? And I'm going to show you what that is. It's called this stuff. It is just window cleaner. So just get some glass cleaner. If you don't want to use isopropyl alcohol, glass cleaner has alcohol in it. So you can feel free to clean your glass with that. Just make sure that it's fully dry before you start printing on it. And you should be fine, Dominic.
Is that one a ammonia based or not?
This is. Yep.
Yeah, so
This
like
is,
Windex and all the
yeah,
other ones there.
This is streak-free shine. So not only will you get a streak-free shine, but you'll be able to clean your glass as well.
Well, now that I got a
normally
flex plate, I might try windshield washer fluid. I
I've done
can't
that.
imagine. Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of getting the surface clean, right? At the end of the day, if you have a glass bed, take it outside, clean it well with soap and water, and then rinse it clean. Let it dry naturally, and you shouldn't have any oils left on that surface. Remember, it's all about finger oils and greases, and nothing beats that like a good dishwasher or dish soap detergent such as Dawn or any other brand.
Sergeant Pepsi is asking, what about cleaning hairspray off? Well, first and foremost, you should be taking that piece of glass to the sink, washing that hairspray off, and then cleaning it with a good glass cleaner, isopropyl alcohol, before replacing glass back onto your bed. Benny Brady says Dawn dish soap and hot water. Yes, that works very well as well. Sean, I almost said Stanley. Sean Lee, how about H2O2? So that would be water too.
No, that's hydrogen peroxide, I think.
Is that hydrogen peroxide? You can tell I haven't gone to school.
H2O2. I haven't actually seen it referred to that in a long time. Yeah, hydrogen peroxide. I haven't tried it because normally I use hydrogen peroxide for cleaning wounds. So
yeah,
I can't imagine it would have any better
dishwashing
cleaning
soap.
Things. You know, and if you really want to experiment, you can use soda water sometimes if you have something that really won't come off the surface. But at the end of the day, you're looking for the cleanest surface, and your bed adhesion issues are usually a result of greases and oils.
There you go. So yeah, everybody's kind of agreeing there. Dishwashing liquid, some glass cleaner, isopropyl alcohol, being that right now it's at a premium. You try and find it here in Calgary. It's almost impossible. If you can find it, it's at a very premium price. Even the Walmart branded stuff, what do they call that? Great value. That's definitely at a premium. So, try and find it. If you can't find isopropyl alcohol, guys, you know what? Windex will do just fine. If you're using resin printers, and I'm sure that a lot of people are asking because they are thinking about resin, and we did cover the Creality LD002R resin printer here just recently. And to be perfectly honest with you, when I'm cleaning up my prints, I use a little bit of alcohol just at the very beginning, but I clean the prints in Mr. Clean. I use Mr. Clean, and I put it in my ultrasonic cleaner. I leave it in there for a good 5 or 6 minutes, pull it out, rinse it off in some warm water, and let it dry, and it's good to go. The only time I really use the alcohol now is when I'm going to just try to get it off the build plate, because it works really well if you give it just a little spritz. and then you just slide your putty knife right up underneath that bed adhesion, and it just comes off like that. It really is nice.
Yeah, it looks like everyone's kind of talking along the same means there. Mark Baker's saying vinegar and water. Yep, vinegar is a great cleaning agent. You can also use lemon juices. Really, any household cleaner, that's designed to clean the surface and not coat it. So, for instance, just the other day, I decided to try the bottle of hand sanitizer I bought from the brewery, which was 80% denatured alcohol. However, it also had some glycol in it. And so afterwards, I could feel a bit of a smoothness on the surface. So I cleaned it with proper alcohol, and then it was fine. So just be sure you read the ingredients and try it on some other surface just to see what the end result is. But just in general, any floor cleaner is probably not going to be volatile enough to strip anything off the surface, but it will clean it well.
Dave Tallman saying, how about acetone? Acetone is, depending on the plastic you're using, can be can be hazardous to the part that you're doing. Acetone as a cleaner, I wouldn't put it on my prints personally. No. I don't even use acetone to vapor smooth my prints because I don't do a lot of ABS. But I do have acetone here, and I use it for other applications. So at the end of the day, I would say no to acetone. Ben saying the Brits, he's telling the Brits to use gin because that stuff is like turpentine. Way to go, Ben. Way to make enemies over across the pond. Jerry Knapp says mean green in ultrasonic cleaner, then alcohol dip, then water dry and UV oven. That's actually a good idea.
Yeah, just be careful with the mean green, because I think it was Uncle Jesse. Didn't he show that video where it actually melted into like a paste or something inside his machine?
Yes.
It almost caught fire.
That's because he left it too long.
Yes, and he also had the heater on. So if you've got a heated one, be smart. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, be very smart.
And read your MSDS. Learn about these materials you're working with, because there are some cleaners that are flammable just based off how they work with evaporation agents and so forth. So, do I recommend putting a bucket of isopropyl alcohol in an ultrasonic cleaner? Absolutely not.
No, I don't either.
No, just be smart about it, guys.
I've almost finished this can.
Oh, Adam. Is that the light, or are you just happy?
Well, I'm kind of happy here this evening, and I'm thinking about doing all the commercials for our channel with that voice. So you want to buy a printer, eh?
You need to wear a different hat.
Yeah, not the YouTube hat. Yeah.
Or your bed be flat.
Are you sure you want to get that off that bed? Thank you, Raymond. Yes, if you do like the show, do give us a thumbs up. Help us support the show. And your thumbs up, your comments, and your likes and your dislikes, all that stuff goes to helping us in our metrics on YouTube. Thank you very much. That's how I make part of my living. What would be best third printer to buy under $1,000? Sergeant Pepsi is asking. Wow. Well, I think we've all got a different opinion on that. I'm going to start with you, Tim. What do you think?
Oh, gosh. You put me on the spot here.
I am.
If I had to buy one under $1,000, it would be, I would probably buy another Prusa.
Really?
Yeah. So, well, it would come in just under $1,000 at $749 if you bought the MK3, but it just depends on how much work you want to put into it. I say the Prusa to me is like Apple. It works out of the box.
Yeah.
So to me, it's worth spending that $1,000 on. Again, you could probably buy 2 or 3 Creality printers for that price as well. So everybody has a different opinion on that. So, yeah.
Brian, what about you?
Oh, I was trying to figure out how many CR2s you could buy for that price, but actually, you caught me off guard there, Tim. I didn't expect that Prusa, the 3S, to come in sub $1,000. Last time I checked, I thought those were like $1,300.
$749 US.
Oh,
which is maybe just close to 1,000 Canadian.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah, that's not too bad at all.
I guess it depends on the volume what you want to print. I mean, my go-to answer is always the Ender 3 Pro, but if you're talking sub 1,000, I think you can squeeze a CR10S4 in there, which I've heard great things about that machine. I don't actually own that one myself, but I have heard it's good. It's got a lot of better features over the S5, which is, for all intents and purposes, a discontinued product in my eyes. But given that we're talking a little bit different in there, actually, you know what? I'm going to throw in there also as a get a CR10S, and if you got some extra money, get it like a TiVo Tarantula. Get a couple of those.
I'd have to say for myself, I don't like answering this question because it's kind of loaded. There's a lot of great printers I've reviewed over the last 3 years doing this show. And in all honesty, if size of bed is not an issue and you're looking for something that maybe has dual extrusion, I can't say enough good things about the FlashForge Creator Max that I've got here. I think that thing just works. It didn't take any time to set it up. It's got Wi-Fi. The only thing it lacks is auto bed leveling, but once you've got that bed leveled, it's pretty easy to do. So that would be my sort of go-to if you wanted to go that route, because I think it comes in at around $850 or $900 Canadian. Other than that,
that's not bad.
Everybody knows I'm a big Creality fan. It's my go-to printer. The Ender 3 Pro, the Ender 3 V2, which is coming out very soon. The CR10, the CR10S, the CR10S 4 and 5. Even the Pro and the Max, all very good machines. Something that I would definitely keep an eye on. Creality's making very big strides they're not advancing in terms of technology, but they are starting now to give you much better products. They've learned from their previous mistakes, and they really have taken the time. And I talked about this a few weeks ago when I was on a live stream with Ben and Luke, and I said, my opinion on that is that they've been really making headway and listening to their audience, their core audience of people that are buying their products. And I think that definitely is the way to go.
Yeah, Creality's got a lot of new ones coming out that they've been announcing. So
the
one that looks interesting to me is the Ender 6. If I'm not mistaken, that's an enclosed printer that they're bringing out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the crowdsourced one. I admittedly skipped all those videos this week because I get trigger happy when I buy those.
Yes.
When I see something like that, I'm like, all right, I'll throw the money out there. I'm still on the fence. I don't like the idea of Creality crowdsourcing. I think they've kind of moved beyond that. They don't really need to do that, but who knows? Maybe they're just kind of gauging to see what the interest is. They've clearly built it already, right? So it's just a question of, and maybe that is the way to go for them. Send out a couple demo units and see how it goes and drop it. But I mean, nothing's been really new on the market. They've just kind of been cleaning up their product line, and maybe they probably should have come up with a new name, to be honest, if they're going to crowdsource it.
I think part of the problem that we have right now today is that there's not been any really big advancement in 3D printing. I mean, yes, we got the 32 boards, but 32-bit boards have been around for quite some time, just in a higher price tier. Now they've come down to where anybody can get into a 32-bit board. And then you've got hot ends from multiple different vendors. You've got touch screens now, which seem to be the oh wow, I need to have a touch screen on my 3D printer, which I don't necessarily agree with. But at the end of the day, is there going to be a huge leap forward this year in 3D printing? God, I hope so, because we're getting pretty stagnant with what we have now. And you can release all the different models you want. They're still the same machine. Whether it's a V1 or a V2 or, a V3, it's still the same machine at the heart of it. So we really need to push the envelope. And I think by pushing that envelope, you're going to get much better printers as we move into 2021. And but we do have to find some innovation. I mean, you can do all the hypercube styles, you can do all the box styles, you can do all the Cartesian and Delta styles, but there's still a Cartesian, a Core XY, there's still a Delta printer at the end of the day, right? I think what's happening in the resin world is amazing because prices again are now coming down for medium and large format resin printers. So I think that is definitely a step forward. Morgan Pierce is talking a little about his skip screens and go Octoprint on Astro or AstroPrint. And while Octoprint and AstroPrint, I believe, are great interfaces for your 3D printer, they're not completely flawless. So there's a steep learning curve to those as well. So we are going to be doing some stuff on that. I just want to let everybody know that we are going to be launching very soon our learnthefirstlayer.com courses website. Because of social distancing, I haven't been able to do any courses at Spool 3D over the last few months. And it has prompted me now to design them to be online. We'll let you know when that comes along. And of course, we're going to launch our shopthefirstlayer.com, where you'll be able to get the t-shirts that both Brian and I are wearing tonight. And those will be done and go out fairly quickly. So I think that if you guys want to get a part of that, then all the prices are going to be in U.S. pricing. Canadian pricing for those that are in Canada will get Canadian pricing. For the U.S. customers, it'll be in U.S. dollars, and in Europe, it'll be in euros or British pounds, or wherever you are in the world. Yen in China, or I'm not sure what they are anywhere, but rubles, I don't, firstborns, I don't know how that's going to work, but it'll all be set up on a secure site, so you guys will be able to get this stuff really soon, and it will be handled by us. It's not going to be handled by a third party. It's not going to be handled by Teespring. It's not going to be handled by anybody else. We're bringing everything in-house. Brian and I have worked on it and brainstormed a little bit. My wife and I have brainstormed a little bit. So you guys are going to be able to see that. We're going to do some Octoprint and some AstroPrint tutorials coming up very soon. So if you want to take part in that, you can. We do have Super Chat turned on. So if you found anything that we've talked about tonight useful for you, please take advantage of that Super Chat. It always helps us out at the end of the day. And, we're just going to keep going with our conversation here. Now, Tim, when you got into 3D printing, I want to ask you exactly what was the biggest problem, other than not getting it to stick to the bed, that you had to try and overcome? I know we had several conversations at Spool about your woes at the beginning, but
yeah, it's not really technical. The biggest issue at first was what to print. I didn't know anything about designing 3D models. I've since come a long way with learning Fusion 360, and but yeah, one of the biggest obstacles was, what do I print? And so as I started learning how to model stuff, I've had a few friends and customers come up and ask me to do things specifically for them for certain specific projects, that things you couldn't find on Thingiverse, that I had to create from scratch, basically. So but as far as the technical operation of the printers, as I say, the biggest issue for me was just the troubleshooting. Was if I'd get a clog in the hot end, how do I fix that? I spent a lot of time on YouTube watching videos, as most people do, and the more I learn, the more self-sufficient I become at fixing those issues. One of the things you were talking about just a moment ago with the newer printers, and how the technology seems to stay the same no matter how they box the printer, is one thing I can see there being room for is hot end improvements. I can see there being more modern, more technologically developed hot ends, so that they don't clog as much, so that they just work all the time. And rather than having to fiddle with it, if you have a problem, you just replace it, almost like a plug and play hot end. That would be a really cool feature for them to see coming forward.
Yeah, I think E3D has been working on changeables or interchangeable hot ends as a tool change. So that might be, and I'm going to retract what I said earlier, that might be the only real innovation that has come along in the last little while that still is in its infancy and testing stage. I would love to be able to swap hot ends like in and out really quickly. I think that would be great if you wanted to, do something with a 0.4 nozzle. Just pop the whole hot end off and you pop a new one on.
Yeah.
Now we've got a printer coming our way. It's called the Toy DIY. We'll be doing a review on it once it shows up here, and it is what they call a 4-in-1. Now it has a single extrusion head. It has a dual extrusion head, has a laser engraver, and also has a cutting engraver. So, or a wood engraver, that kind of thing. So I think that we're going to see more multi-purpose machines as we round out 2020. I think that's going to be something that people are going to be looking for even more, moving forward. But at the end of the day, what do you really need a laser engraver in your 3D printer? I believe that should be a completely separate device. That's my own personal view on it. But,
well, the more parts you swap in and out, in my opinion, the more issues you're going to run into. So
yeah, I would just like to have heads that I can switch out different nozzles on quick and easy. So just pop off the head, pop a new one on. I think that would work out great. Hot end issues would be an awesome innovation. Tempest is saying. There's a question back here that I wanted to get into. Raymond Emsley is asking, what's the purpose of Wi-Fi on a screen? What is its function? That is all dependent on the manufacturer. Sometimes they put Wi-Fi on for a future upgrade that they may be doing to that screen. So that's something to keep in mind. So I usually think it's for future upgrades. Right now, doesn't seem like there's anything that's really functional for them. And I know but Big Tree Tech has got a couple of screens that have a Wi-Fi port on them. But there's no real Wi-Fi functionality to it. Parker Cooper, is asking, I'd like to print from my computer, but it keeps locking up. Parker, I would never recommend that you print from your computer. I would always say to you, do the tried and true method, use that SD card, and I think it will work better for you. Because computers go to sleep, and then you get a failed print, and away it goes. So, Brian, you keep popping in and out.
Yeah, I was having some networking issues. I've got a rather complex setup here. What can I say? So we lost the upstairs LAN, so I had to diagnose it.
So Locky Ness Gaming just came by to say hi. Hello.
Hello.
I think that's Captain Lachlan, who Locky Ness Gaming is. Corey Mack is saying, at Robert Marvin, also you might want to open the STL and Mesh Mixer and run Analyzer to ensure the model's solid. Let's talk a little bit. That's actually a really good question or response to something I missed earlier. But I would have to say that STLs are not all created equally wherever you are buying them, or if you're getting them from a repository like Thingiverse. And I'm sure, Tim, you've had that issue as well. I know I have. Brian, you've had that issue. Let me ask you, Tim, what is the amount of files you go to look for on Thingiverse? What would you say that ratio is?
Oh, gosh. I probably go, if I'm looking for something specific, I probably look maybe 20-25% on Thingiverse for it. I find that STLs I download on Thingiverse, I find they all act differently depending on what slicer I run them through. It'll work great out of Cura, and if I try and slice it through Simplify 3D, which I own, it comes out terrible for some reason. And again, same thing with Prusa Slicer. If it's not, I find if it's not specific to a slicer and it doesn't tell you that, then it's a crapshoot. So
there you go. There's a question here for you, Tim. It says, what are the first 4 important things you learn in Fusion 360? That's coming from Snapshot FPV.
Well, the big thing for me was I've used programs like Illustrator and Photoshop for many, many years. I was naive when I first started learning how to model for 3D. I figured, well, I just draw something and then boom, I hit a button and it converts it to a 3D drawing. Well, that was sort of an eye opener when I started looking at Fusion 360. The biggest thing that I learned, the first important things I learned in Fusion 360 was to create that. I think they call it an artboard. You have to come to it's a 2-dimensional plane artboard, right. Making sure you get that drawing right. And basically, you want to sort of have an image in your head or on paper as to what you want to do first, instead of just jumping into it and trying to create something. Because these artboards that you create in Fusion 360, you could have one of them for a simple model, or you could have a dozen of these ones for a complex model. And the more you have, the easier it is to go back and make changes to something if you found you've made a mistake or you want to tweak something. So I think the big thing is for that is to don't jump right into it. Watch some tutorials on it first. There's a lot of good resources on YouTube for Fusion 360. One of the Lars Christensen, I believe, is his name.
He's my favorite.
Yeah, he's the guy that I went to first, and I learned from him. And I love the way, almost like you have there, Richard, he has his beer with him. He has a can of beer there. he makes a point of showing it, and he's so relaxing, and he makes you feel so at home as if you're right there in the living room with him learning this. So
I think he might be a little drunk when he starts his video.
I
He's
think
always way too happy.
He is very happy. But no, he's one of the best ones. But yeah, I think don't jump into it thinking that you can learn as you go. Watch some of those tutorials and just sort of wrap your head around the process and how it has to happen. It's a powerful software. I probably know 2%, 3% of what it'll do. And that's just from some of the simple models I've created.
I'm much in the same boat. I think I'm maybe 1.5%. I'm still learning it myself. I'm trying to learn not only Fusion 360, but I'm going backwards a little bit, and I'm learning Tinkercad so that I can produce a course on it. But you know, when you start looking, for me, I was always a pencil and paper guy. Give me a ruler and a drafting table and some paper, and I could pretty much design you anything. But when I had to wrap my head around that beautiful 3-dimensional object, it was really tough. Yeah. Hey, we got a super chat from Sergeant Pepsi. How does all of your partner deals with being passionate about 3D printing cut? Your other person, like me. Her. How does your all partners deal with being passionate about 3D printing? Because she says I spend too much time watching my printer. LOL.
I bought her Craven HBO.
And Tim, you've got yours at your office. You don't have any at home, right?
I used to have about 6 at home, and then I was inspired by Mark Baker, who's on here. He was the one that inspired me to get so many printers. But I had 6 at home. I was starting to spend too much time in the basement. It got a little chilly in the basement anyways to run some of them. So now there's 1 at home and the rest of them are at the office here. Yeah.
All of mine are here at home now, but my wife has learned a lot about 3D printing since this whole pandemic started. She's taken time now that she's learned a little bit more, and she doesn't want me to teach her. She just goes and watches the videos now and then asks me questions about it later, which I think is great. So we've actually got a pretty good partnership. And Brian, I know that your partner, who also is a part of our inner circle here at the First Layer, she's into 3D printing anyway.
Come on, yes, come here. Well, I mean, the simple solution is everything I'm printing right now is for her, so I can't
there you go.
Win.
Why are you talking about me?
Because I can. See, there she is.
There she is. There's Jess. She's wearing I print ABS shirt.
Nice shirt.
There you go.
Look, I got abs.
So Tinkercad, what do I think of Tinkercad? I think Tinkercad is a great starting point. I could say something to that. I think Tinkercad for anybody starting with 3D design is a great starting point. I wouldn't jump into things like Blender unless you have some idea of how to use them. Again, Mesh Mixer and Fusion 360 are a little bit more advanced programs. Get your feet wet in Tinkercad. Learn a little bit about parametric modeling in Tinkercad. Then start to move up. There are tons and tons and tons of great tutorials on YouTube about using those softwares, and I encourage everybody to go and have a look at them. There's some done by some really great people, so definitely.
Back when I went through schooling, they taught us SolidWorks, and based off that training, Fusion was the easiest to ease into. So if you have an engineering background, jump into Fusion. Really, it's hard to jump into it if you have no CAD background. So if you have the opportunity to take a CAD course, even with a program like FreeCAD or NanoCAD, you start out with that on a 2D plane, and then Fusion allows you to take that 2D drawing and extrude it into the 3D realm and then start playing with it. So if you learn your CAD software, Fusion's going to be a much easier adoption.
Yeah, I agree. Now, Tim, I'm much like you. You know, I had the same background in Photoshop and in InDesign and things like that. So because I've done all that stuff, and I had a photography studio for many years in Winnipeg. So that being what was kind of my basis for getting into 3D modeling. And man, when I transitioned from 2D plane to a 3D plane, I just about lost my mind. But now I'm starting to get the hang of it, and we're going to see more stuff coming out very, very soon. 3-second cover says, set my wife up with Astroprint. She could print her stuff for the most part without help. Ha ha ha. I think that's awesome. If you can get your loved ones involved in 3D printing, we've got a printer coming up, a review of a printer coming up, that if anybody has kids that you want to get them into 3D printing, this might be your go-to printer. It's coming up on Wednesday. Make sure you check that out. We're running out of time, so I'm quickly going to plug a few things. Tim, tell people where they can find you.
You can find us on the web at kkpyyc.com. And we're downtown Calgary at 4th Avenue and 2nd Street. kkpyyc.com.
There you go. Now do you have a Facebook as well? KKP?
Yes, KKP Calgary.
There you go. So check them out today, you guys. Go and go to KKP Calgary on Facebook. Go and check them out at kkpprinting.com.
And a little plug, I am going to be starting a KKP 3D YouTube channel. So
there you go. And we're going to help them out with that so we can get set up the right way. Richard, I sent you a package. I hope you got it. Snapshot. I have not gotten it yet, but I'm sure I will get it. What did you send me?
And we got the print. We got the T-shirts rolling out here, and Jess has authorized me to show her father. Hopefully that'll focus.
Yeah, there we go.
Wearing his shirt today. There. So
nice.
Yeah, these are great shirts.
We hope that everybody is staying safe, and in this time of pandemic, we hope you're staying home. You're practicing social distancing. We all are, although Brian and Jess and I and my wife were all together today. We feel that we've been enclosed in our houses for long enough that we should be able to go and visit. But of course, we didn't go anywhere. Mark L. Baker, it is always great to see you on our stream. Thank you very much. Stay safe, stay healthy, everybody. I want to remind you that we will be launching shopthefirstlayer.com here within the next couple of weeks. So those guys that are interested in t-shirts, you will be able to purchase them there, and everything will be a secure site. So it'll be real easy to get your shirts.
And, let us know in the comments below, what type of filament do you print? Do you print
what type of filament do you? That's the question for tonight. What type of filament do you print? I want to see those in the comments tonight. What time on Monday? Snapshot FPV. Well, we're going to roll that out probably around noon. It's not going to be a live show. It's pre-recorded, but Monday is our May the 4th special, and I've got a few things that I've been printing that I want to show you guys. So we're going to do that for Monday. Wednesday we have our review of the Monoprice Cadet, an interesting little printer. It takes only 30 seconds to set it up and be printing with it. So we're going to test that out, and we're going to show it to you. Thank you, everybody, for watching tonight. I want to thank Tim Aucoin for taking the time out of his busy day to come and join us and talk about his business, talk about 3D printing and how it's affected his business and how things are going with it. Brian, as always, you're my best buddy. And we love seeing you here each and every week. We hate it when you miss it. And we love seeing Jess in the background as well.
it's been a little crazy, but the overtime paid for my new shiny mic.
Nice.
Oh, there- Ooh,
Yeah.
that is a nice new shiny mic.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, again for joining us. Again, thumbs up, give us a comment. Let us know what you're printing with, what your favorite filament is. Let us know what kind of printer you're printing with as well. We'd love to know. And as always, you can find us over on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. My wife's going, hit that like button, hit that like button.
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell. Yeah. And we will see you guys again on Monday with our May the 4th Be With You special edition. Good night, everybody, and we will see you then. Remember that the first layer is always your foundation to a great print.